Hi, my name is Geran. I've been involved in Avant-Gardeners and Kale Fest from, I guess, both of their inceptions. Yeah, I like to grow food and help people grow food, and yeah, um, you should probably ask me some questions. I don't know what to say at all.
Okay. Well, it's been pretty much just a year now since the idea for the Avant-Gardeners came about. So, what was really the driving elements that spurred you to want to do that?
Oh, well, I guess AG kind of came out of a collective desire for, I guess, like a form of gardening and community organizing around food that wasn't so individual and wasn't based on just an individual transforming their own plot of land. A lot of the people involved in AG were activists and didn't really have a lot of money. But we did know, Eugene's just kind of full of really awesome people who have been doing really great transformative work around how people relate with food, and so we, started reaching out to them, learning really basic things, and then just started kind of volunteering and basically started having garden parties and just helping people put in gardens whenever they wanted to. And kind of, from that, we had the Eden Project started. We had the Catholic Worker, which is an awesome group that's been around for ages, doing basically agriculture-based liberation movements. They donated this land, and this is about, I think there's a little bit less than an acre that we have planted out. But now, there's desires by this group to really up food production here, and I guess we're starting to acquire more and more connections and access to land, and we're learning more about food and gardening at all times. The vast majority of people in this group are still really new to gardening, but we're learning really fast, and I think Kale Fest is going to be a really great way to bring people together and to kind of show people the narrative that we've been building around community production of food as a way to make community more than something that's just an abstract idea. Actually make it something that's palpable from people, doing common work with people towards a common goal. And yeah, is that good?
Yeah. So, what would you say are some of the bigger lessons that you've learned in a year of this work?
Oh, geez. I think it's that if you let people do what they want to do, they'll do it. I also learned that plants will do the same thing, basically. And that if you provide the proper conditions for things, they'll grow. I think that's kind of what we're still striving to do, is kind of figure out how to make this idea that, it kind of intuitively appeals to a lot of people, how to make it into something that they can participate in, and something they can really make their own and take to their own neighborhoods, so that, Avant-Gardeners isn't just a group, but rather, a practice that becomes part of a larger culture.
Well, what do you think it will really take ultimately to get more of the general public engaged in, establishing food security for their own region?
Well, I think if you look at it, a lot of discussions are already happening. And I think that there's a worldwide discussion on food and food insecurity right now that's happening with the general conversation on income inequality and kind of the lack of capacity of ordinary people to determine their own futures. And so I think that food is being seen kind of intuitively as a really easy way to challenge those systems of power and to allow people who have been dispossessed the means to take back, what they need. If you go back, in a lot of ways, like the history of oppression is the history of denying people the right to grow their own food in a lot of ways. And if you go back to the oldest empires, a lot of the ways that they conquered people were by depriving them of the land that they had lived on, that they knew how to live off of, and then making them grow kind of, these grains that they didn't really know a lot about, but that were the only things they knew how to plant in order to survive. And that's how, we've gotten to the point where we are today, where people don't know anything about their normal world, about the world that they live in, the world that they eat from, the world that they're kind of a part of as part of the greater ecological system. Instead, we just deal with all of these weird abstractions that have been created by our culture. And so I think that that basically, helping people ground themselves where they are and realize that they have kind of an allegiance to where they live and who they live with, then that's kind of the first step towards really making people have a stake in their future and thinking realistically about what securing their future will mean.
Good, thank you.
Cool.